And that questioning the divine decree is one of the most dangerous things to do religiously. Trying to understand the divine decree, the wisdom that is in the divine decree, that's fine. What is the wisdom? Why is the situation, why are Muslims in the situation they're in now? What was the wisdom that Allah Ta'ala catapulted Muslims to the front stage of current affairs by placing so much oil in the Muslim world? What is the wisdom of that? What is the wisdom that Allah Ta'ala has subjugated us, that on an international scale, to so many different people? That's fine to try to understand the wisdom and why this is happening and how to understand it and why we're in the situation. That's fine. But to reach to the point where we complain about it, that's very different. But even worse than complaining about it is where we start to question the divine decree. That, oh, why did you put me in this situation, oh Allah? Why am I here? Why? Oh, that's something very dangerous. That's very dangerous. Because Allah Ta'ala is not questioned, He's not asked about that, what He does. We are the ones that are asked about how we respond to the way our Lord Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has placed us. And this is the only empowering understanding that we have, that as human beings. And then فَجَعَلَ الْجَنَّةَ مَأْوًى لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَجَعَلَ النَّارَ مَأْوًى لِلْكَافِرِينَ, that He made paradise the repose of the believers, the resting place, whilst making the fire the dwellings for the disbelievers. And then that He is going to say a dua, Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-jannata wa na'udhu bika min al-nar wa min al-hirmani min dhawq as-salihin. Beautiful dua. He says that, oh Allah, that I bear witness that there is no deity but God alone. He has no partners. To Him belongs, that, oh God, we beseech You for paradise, and we take refuge in You from the fire and from being denied the experience of the righteous. Look at that beautiful dua. Look at that beautiful dua. Oh Allah, we seek refuge in You from the fire and anything that will lead to it. Anything that we would say, believe, or do. Right? وَمِنْ ذَوْقِ الصَّالِحِينَ. Right? Dhawq is tasting. It's experience. And so he's seeking refuge in Allah from being prevented. That the experience and the beautiful taste that the righteous are granted and are blessed with. In other words, is that there's certain things that you can do that will prevent you from that. You remain a believer, but you have to get beyond just generally being a believer. If you really want to taste what the righteous taste, is that you have to prefer the next world over this world. As that there's certain diseases of your heart that you have to overcome. There's things that you have to do. And then you'll be given the dhawq of the salihin. And then once that you're given the dhawq of the salihin, is that you won't see things like other people see them. That one of my teachers just posted a picture, and in the picture that there was a masjid, and in front of the masjid that there was a lake, and that in the picture and the angle of the picture is that the water was still it was reflected in the lake, and that other people would have said, "Wow, that's a beautiful picture." He saw a spiritual meaning in that. That he saw is that likewise this is the state of the heart. Is that when the water of the heart becomes still and it becomes pure, is that it has an ability to reflect the greatest of all things that can be reflected in it. But as long as that the water is not still and it's turbulent or it's muddied, is it's not going to reflect what it's meant to reflect in it. The heart is like a mirror. Is that if you work on it and you purify it, it will reflect what it is supposed to reflect. This is an example of the dhawq of the salihin. That another example, and these are people that when they look out and they see natural phenomena, it reminds them of something of the higher realm. Is that one time we were with them in San Diego, California, and there was a one-way road. And that as this car drove down the wrong way on this one-way road, is that there was a person who was out watering his lawn or taking care of his lawn, and he started raising his hand and said, no, it's a one-way road. And that he didn't just see this man stopping this person from going down the one-way road. Is that the meaning that came to his mind says, see, people know from their fitrah when they're going the wrong way. There's something about, that was the meaning that he took from it. Is that we all know that spiritually, this path that we're traveling, when we're going the wrong way, or it's a dead-end road, that the fitrah knows it. And that people then need to respond and tell other people about that. right? So that they can then themselves become aware. Then he says, وَأَشْهَدُ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَحْدَهُ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ يُحْيِي وَيُمِيتُ وَعَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. I bear witness that there is no deity but God alone. He has no partners. That to Him belongs the worldly kingdom, and to Him all praise is due. He gives life, and He brings forth death, and He is powerful over all things. And then He's going to testify to his belief in Sayyidina Muhammad, وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ الْمُصْطَفَى الَّذِي يَخْتَارُهُ مِنْ الْعَرَبِ وَالْعَجَمِ مِنْ أَشْرَفِ الْقَبَائِلِ صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. And he says, I bear witness that Muhammad ﷺ is his slave, servant, and his messenger, the chosen one whom he selected from the noblest tribes from amongst the Arabs and the non-Arabs. May the blessings of God and abundant peace be upon him and his family and his companions. And now he's going to shift gears. This is his still introduction, but all of that was the preface of his introduction. Then he's going to say, "I'lam." No. And whenever you say a command, the primary person that you're speaking to in the command is the one in the second person, so it's you. So if I would say to you all, no, I'm speaking to everyone here. I would actually say, "I'lamu," because there's a group of people, but it's in the second person. And the adab, the etiquette that is, of any time that you use the second person, you always imagine that you're speaking to yourself first. And so that I imagine if I ever use the word you, right, or if someone ever uses the word you by way of command or saying you, do this, do that, is that the etiquette of a public speaker or of someone delivering the sermon is that they imagine themselves standing in front of themselves and that they're speaking to their own selves first. And that one of the righteous said, he said that for 20 years, that people thought that I was speaking to them. In reality, I wasn't speaking to them. I was only speaking to myself. By extension them. But this is the type of word is going to benefit other people. Is that when you yourself have already implemented that knowledge, one, and this should be if you ever want to speak about anything in a Friday sermon or teach about anything in a class, we should strive to put it into practice first before telling other people about it. Secondly, is that while we're telling other people about it, we should first bring to heart that we're speaking to our own selves. And even if we fall short in that, and we don't implement the knowledge necessary, there's still a precedent to teach that knowledge, and you take yourself to task while you're teaching that knowledge. And you brandish yourself and upbraid yourself and take yourself to task for falling short in relation to putting that piece of knowledge into practice. Because knowledge, it's about ilm and amal. Knowledge and practice. And that our deen is not a deen of theory. It is not a religion that is solely based upon knowledge without practice. Right? Our deen is a living deen. And it's brought to life in the heart when people join between knowledge and practice, such that it leads to a hal, it leads to a state of heart. And this is the sign that an individual and a family and a community is alive, is that these individual hearts are alive. That these people, that إِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا, is that when his signs and verses are recited, that they increase in faith. Right? These are people that when they hear the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it impacts them. These are people when they hear an exhortation, when they hear a sermon, that they're impacted. That when was the last time we cried? When was the last time any one of us cried? Is that we should be crying all of the time. We should be crying all of the time. No one was tougher than Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab. And that if being tough was a prerequisite to not cry, then how do you explain Sayyidina Umar? Is that he had two troughs in his eye, on his cheeks. That is, like two lanes where you could see there were so many tears that flowed and left lines in his cheeks. Sayyidina Umar was as tough as tough could be. But he used to weep regularly. And before people, that he was a man of deep honor and dignity. But before Allah, he was a servant of